Hi, welcome to this EPM Fast Summary where we're looking at the book Living Forward, a proven plan to stop drifting and get the life you want. So, in a nutshell, Living Forward is about determining how you would like the major areas of your life to work out and then creating a plan to get you there. Now, it starts with awareness of your current situation, then moves on to creating the life plan itself, and finally, it provides some steps and guidance to help you get started with the plan and calibrate it as you go along. Now, a key concept of the book is the drift. But what is the drift? Well, in essence, the drift is letting the things that make up your life, like your career, your family, your physical health, take care of themselves rather than making a deliberate plan for each of them. And this is how many people get to their 40s, 50s, and even 60s. They look around and they realize their life hasn't quite turned out as they hoped it would. Maybe their marriage is failing, or their career has stalled, or perhaps their health is showing signs of failing. These people look at themselves and realize their life is really far away from what they hoped it would be. Now, these people are people who have become victims of the drift. So how does the drift happen? Well, it happens when we're unaware. We don't really know what's at stake from the decisions we're making. It happens when we're distracted. Perhaps we're distracted by our career, so we're not focused on other areas. It happens when we're overwhelmed. So for example, your career might be taking too much time now, and you might make the excuse that it's just temporary, but then it just keeps on happening month on month and even year on year. And it also happens when we're deceived. So when your mind tricks you into thinking you can't take control of your drift, basically the situation you find yourself in right now is just how it is and you haven't got the power to change it. So there are many consequences to the drift. Without a plan for our health, we can end up sick, we can end up stuck in a rut, and we can just generally end up without any energy. Without a plan for our career, we can end up stalled in our career. We could even end up unemployed. Or at a minimum, we could just end up, maybe a little bit unfulfilled in our career. Without a plan for our family, we could end up divorced or separated or even estranged from our children or our parents. And there are loads of other consequences too. So we might end up with regrets. There might be opportunities that we missed because we didn't have a plan for our life. And inevitably, we'll have spent time working on the wrong things. So what is life planning? Well, life planning is the opposite of the drift. The drift is about passivity, whereas life planning is about proactivity. With life planning, we take responsibility for our circumstances rather than blaming our circumstances on other people. Now, the drift is about living without a plan, but life planning is about having a plan and working it. There are three components to life planning. The first part is creating your life plan. The second part is, getting started using your life plan day to day just after you've created it. And the third part is about keeping it alive month on month and year on year. Now, you might be asking yourself, that's all very well, but what actually is a life plan in practical terms? Well, a life plan is a short written document, usually between 8 and 15 pages in length. It's created by you, for use by you, and it describes how you want to be remembered. It articulates your personal priorities. It provides the specific actions necessary to take you from where you are now to where you want to be in every major area of your life. Now, it's a living document that you're going to adjust as necessary for the rest of your life. Now, to create a life plan, you need to follow these steps. So step one is to clear a day in your calendar. And you need to do that because this is an important task. You need to invest more time in planning the rest of your life than, for example, you might invest in choosing a new fridge or a new microwave. And the other steps you need to do are you need to start at the end by writing your eulogy. You need to establish your life accounts. You need to determine the condition of those accounts as they stand today. Then you need to prioritise your life accounts. And finally, you need to fill out each one. So let's look at each of those steps in turn. So first, start at the end. Now, you wouldn't try and plan a holiday without first picking a destination. And it's the same with planning your life. You have to figure out where it is you want to end up. You have to write your eulogy. Now, some helpful questions that can help you here are, what do you want your legacy to be? What do you want your life to mean to those people who are closest to you? And also think about how specific people might remember you after you're gone. So the next step is to establish your life accounts. Now, a life account is simply an area of your life that is important to you that you want to maintain or improve. Now, broadly speaking, life accounts fall into the following categories: spiritual, marital, parental, social, financial, and personal. And you want to pick between 5 and 12 life accounts that are unique to you. Now, there's a couple of examples here, and the first one looks at life, has the life accounts: self, marriage, kids, parents, friends, career, finances, creating, and pets. But whatever you pick, it should be unique to you and something that's important in your life. So now that you've created your life accounts, the next step is to determine the condition of your accounts. You can think of your life accounts as being like bank accounts. They are either in the red or they're in the black. So for each account, you need to ask yourself, do you have what you need, or are you running low? Would you like more in that account or less in that account? And it's really important here to be honest and just give, your honest assessment of where exactly each account stands. So once you've done that, you need to prioritize your life accounts. So here you simply order your accounts into priority order, and this will make it really clear what your priorities in life are. Now, the logic behind this idea is that if you've got your accounts organized by priority, then when two conflicting things come up, maybe clashing on the same date, two potential commitments, it's going to make it easier for you to choose which one you should do. And a good tip here is that it can be a good idea to put your own self-care near the top of the list of your accounts. And the reasoning behind this is that basically until you're able to look after yourself, then you won't be able to look after anybody else. So now that you've done all of that, the final step is to fill out each account, and there are 5 things you need to do to fill out an account. So the first thing you need to do is enter the purpose, and here you list your role and your responsibility in this account. The second thing you need to do is include your long-term vision. So what does the future look like when this account is in the black? What does it look like when everything's going well in, say, 6 months' time for this account? The third thing is, again, to state your current reality. The fourth thing, and this is optional, you can include an inspiring quote if you find that helpful. And the final thing you need to do is include your short-term goals. So that is specific commitments that detail the actions that you're going to take to get you from your current reality to your envisioned future. And typically those goals you're going to complete within the next 3 months. And you should always use SMART goals. So by that I mean goals that are specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and time-bound. So now that you've created the life plan, it's time to act. But do you really have the time to do this? What if you're already maxed out? What if you're already running at full capacity and you don't feel like you have the time to start making these changes in your life? Well, if that's the case, then Living Forward recommends three techniques: triaging your calendar, scheduling your priorities, and learning to say no with grace. So sometimes we make commitments that seem important when we schedule them, and after reflection, they aren't so important. The book recommends, getting rid of these immediately from your calendar. And it also recommends, trying to reschedule some of what remains in your calendar after you've done that. Um, Another good tip that the book recommends is keeping an annual calendar. And, right at the beginning of the year, or maybe a year in advance, you can schedule in the things that are non-discretionary. For example, your partner's birthday. And in that way, you don't end up, having arranged a business meeting and then suddenly realize it clashes with your partner's birthday and you have to let down your business associate. It just makes your life run a little bit more smoothly. Now, in terms of keeping the plan going over the long term, then the book recommends this process. So you should read your plan daily for the first 90 days. After 90 days, you should then start to review your plan weekly and make changes, as you have taken action. And then on a more long-term basis, you can plan to review it quarterly and also yearly. And your quarterly plan should basically be a more in-depth version of what you might review weekly. And then your yearly plan should be a little bit more strategic in nature. Now, just coming back to the weekly review, the idea here is to get your head above the daily blizzard of activities so that you can see, what you should be doing this week. So that's it. In summary, life planning is a tool which can help you avoid aimlessly drifting through life and give you real clarity of purpose around where you would like to go with your life. Now, we've rated this book as a 4 out of 5. It's a really good book, and we do recommend reading it. It's not a classic, and we felt it was a little, whilst it was really strong in terms of creating your life plan, it's a little weak in terms around keeping your life plan up to date, beyond the point of creating it. So below this video, you can find a life plan template, and you can also find a life plan example to help you get started creating your own life plan straight away.